Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar today on the second episode of Work from Home series with BIM360. I believe few people are still joining in, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes and let more people join in, and then begin with the presentation. I'll leave the slide on your screens because I just want everyone to spend a couple minutes reading it, and then we'll begin with the presentation. If any of you guys cannot hear me clearly or cannot see my screen, please feel free to type your concerns on the chat, and we'll make sure we get it sorted out. Okay, I see more people have joined in. So we'll just be starting in a few seconds now. For those who have just joined in, I've left the safe harbor slide on your screens for you to just quickly read through it. And we were just waiting for more people to join in, and we'll be starting in a few seconds now. Okay, I think we've waited a few minutes and more people have joined in now. So this should be a good time to kick off our webinar today on the second episode of this Work from Home series brought to you by Autodesk. I'm sure you have spent a couple of minutes reading the slides, so I'll just move ahead with the introduction and kick off the presentation for today. So my name is Tanmay Bhalera, and I'm a technical sales specialist at Autodesk, mostly focusing on infrastructure portfolio and infrastructure solutions. I have spent the last 5 years working on challenging infrastructure projects, and now have spent quite a bit of time on working on live projects using BIM360 as well. So my agenda for here today is this is the episode 2 of a series that we have prepared for you guys, who are, I'm sure all of you are stuck at home. Working from home on projects in construction can be really challenging. So that is why we took an effort to tailor a few topics such that it will help everyone one way or the other. Today's webinar will be focused on infrastructure projects. The series started with a webinar last week by Thandavan. So this was the entire schedule. that we have. So you can see that the topics are not limited to construction and design. They are also in the design and manufacturing and media and entertainment space. So feel free to check out this entire schedule and sign up to as many of them that you'd be interested in. You can log on to auindia.in/webinars and sign up for them. So as I said last week, Tandavan did a great job of explaining how to set up your project while working remotely. We introduced BIM360 as a tool concept, and I'm going to try to carry that forward and apply it to your infrastructure project workflows. And then in the subsequent episodes, uh, you'll see technical specialists from Autodesk addressing all these other topics that you can right now see on the screen. So moving ahead, before we begin, we just wanted to do a very quick survey, a few questions just to understand the audience, what kind of products you're using, or what is the background that you're coming from. So Avinash, I also have Avinash on call with me. Would you mind um, starting this survey?
Hi, Tanmay. I've already started the survey and people have been responding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
I see we have a lot of Revit users, and we have also a lot of Civil 3D users today. So that's wonderful, because that is what we will be spending most of our time on. It's great to see that, and it is similar to what I had expected also. I'll just wait a few more minutes for others to vote, and then we can move on to the next question.
So we have another 10 seconds before we move to the next poll. If you haven't yet taken up, please do respond. Thank you.
Okay, we have the next question here. We just want to understand what is your role in your organizations. This will just help us while I talk through my presentation. Even though my slides are prepared, I can spend more minutes on the things that would be a concern for you. So we have a lot of BIM managers, BIM coordinators, design engineers on the call today, along with a few executives and project managers. That's a wonderful mix of audience. And I'm sure the content is going to be beneficial to all of you. Just a few more seconds and we can move on to the next question. And the next question will be on your screen. Yeah, just wanted to understand if how many percent of the audience today is aware of the BIM extended access program, because that's a hot thing at the moment, and I want everybody to be aware of something that is readily available for free for everyone. And I'll explain also. Looks like we have quite a few people who are not aware or are not utilizing the extended access program. So I have a slide showing you what the program is all about. And then just last few seconds for anybody who hasn't voted yet. I think this will be the last question, the one after this, and then we can get started with our the content of the presentation. Just want to understand how are you guys currently sharing the design data across your team, across your different teams, within a team, or even across different organizations. What is it that you guys are using? So a lot of people are still on using servers. 36% only have voted so far. So let's just wait for more people to vote. Okay, so we have a fair mix of majority of them still using emails and servers. And that's wonderful. That is why we will be talking about BIM360 today. Okay, so with that, I think the poll comes to a close. And I hope everyone can see my screen and I'm audible. If not, please feel free to chat, send me a message on the chat box. And moving forward now. So, so this was the extended access program that I was talking about earlier. All of these products, especially BIM360 Design and BIM360 Docs, are available for free commercial use until the end of this month, that is June 30th. So please make sure your organization is making use of this wonderful opportunity. And then moving on to the agenda for today. So taking the conversation forward with what Thandavan shared with you guys last week, I would just like to spend a couple of minutes on the industry context, on understanding the why before we understand the what, which is BIM360 design. Understanding why is it even necessary, and what are the problems that it is solving right now. And then we will talk about BIM360 design, the overview, its key features, and the workflow setup for your organization, and ending with the customer stories and the adoption metrics, as well as resources for you to learn from. And at the end, we'll leave some time for Q&A. So please reserve all your questions until the end. But if you have something in mind, feel free to type it in, and we will answer all of those at the end of the presentation. So understanding the industry context, so business needs are changing, as all of us are now aware. In order for you to stay competitive while navigating uncertainties like the coronavirus or work from home challenges, collaboration challenges, the need is very clear. All three needs are very, very clear. You want to work from anywhere, you want to be able to work on anything from anywhere, and then you want to work with insight, where you're not spending too much of your time manipulating data. The tools that you use will take care of that for you. So this is the business need that we are facing today. And this is how the project delivery, so from our viewpoint at Autodesk, we get a viewpoint into so many different companies, which are your peers and competitors, perhaps even. So how is the project delivery being reshaped? We are witnessing a revolution when it comes to digitization in construction, and everybody is now jumping on the wagon for connected workflows, looking for flexibility, and looking for powerful insights from their data as well, right? So with this in mind, now I would like to actually talk about BIM360 design and how it solves all of these, solves for all of these needs, and it actually helps you enhance the value you add to your organization. BIM360 was introduced to you by Tandavan last week, and he spent a fair bit of time talking about the document management module. And now today we are going to be looking at the design collaboration module. So what is BIM360 design? Well, this is of concern and primary use for designers, coordinators, as well as all the executives and decision makers. So all the designers will be using Revit, will be using Civil 3D, Plant 3D, or any other software for all of their design work and modeling work, right? The coordinators would also be assisting them and coordinating across different trade models. Um, Traditionally, all of these teams were working in a different way, and BIM 360 design changes all of that such that it introduces the concept of the common data environment, uh, which enables you to have access anytime and anywhere, while ensuring everybody has access to the same set of information. And then there are decision makers who, in your organization, who don't necessarily want to use Revit or want to use Civil 3D, but who want to have the ability to comment on the design or the drafting or the modeling issues that they may be able to see, which others don't. And so they can view it from their browser, and they don't need Revit or Civil 3D or any other tool to view the 3D model, to view the drawings, to view all the data that resides in the model. That essentially is BIM 360 design. It brings everyone together, and it solves, it is an evolution of the design collaboration as we knew it traditionally. We started off a few years, like 5-10 years ago. Everybody was using a localized central model. Many people still are using this because this is the way so many organizations have been structured and have been using it for a very long time. But there are, of course, limitations to this. The collaboration gets limited. You need to be in your office. Um, there's no internal activity tracking, so you will never know. You won't have a history of who made what changes, and no, like there's no tool that takes care of that for you. And so all the users are being able to work on a central model, but the key limitation being that that is a very localized model. And then for larger companies with multiple locations, you would have your own network with access to VPNs and things like that. But this essentially leads to expensive hardware and maintenance cost. So you have to invest a lot of that's where your IT spend is going towards if you are working in this infrastructure setup right now. And then what we have is multiple companies, multiple locations, while giving you managed access. This is the evolution of design collaboration today, and this is what is BIM 360 design. And we'll spend the whole part of the majority of this presentation understanding how BIM 360 design works under the hood, understanding how it applies to your workflow, and understanding specifically how it applies to infrastructure projects. So this is, I'm sure many of you guys already know, so I'll run through some of these common things very quickly. But one thing I would like to mention here is the how BIM 360 functions under the hood. So you have this platform called Autodesk Forge, which is enabling all of this. Whatever data resides within BIM 360 is seamlessly be accessed using all of these third-party applications that you see on your all of these Autodesk applications that you see on your left. So you can be working in Revit, and your file can on a live file that is hosted on BIM 360 on the cloud. And then there are these third-party applications which build on top of the Autodesk Forge APIs to give you a whole suite of different applications, a completely new type of use cases from the data that is sitting on the cloud for you. So that this is an area that has been developing very fast over the past couple of years. Lots of developers and companies even focusing their time on building third-party applications such that they can move even beyond just moving over to BIM 360. And that's the ultimate state, which where we want everyone to go to. And there's an Autodesk App Store, which has all of these third-party applications as well. So in context of limiting it to our presentation and this work from home series today, what you have access to under the extended access program is BIM 360 Docs and BIM 360 Design. Docs was explained to you last week. I'll spend a lot more time talking about. So there are three modules. One that helps you within BIM 360 Design, one that helps you collaborate, enable cloud work sharing within Revit, one that helps you enable cloud work sharing within Civil 3D, and the same for Plan 3D. And all of this is your entitlement if you are subscribed to Design Collaboration. So we'll spend some energy into understanding what is BIM 360 Design for infrastructure now. So you already know what is the document management module, but for those who don't, it is essentially where your entire files and folders and everything lies, right? BIM 360 Design adds on top of it a layer which enables you to have a live link with a centrally hosted model. So the way it works in Revit is your central model is sitting on the cloud. All of your users are continuously syncing into that cloud, and you can access all of this under the design collaboration module or from inside Revit. For your infrastructure projects, it's something similar. What we have is collaboration for Civil 3D. This enables you to migrate all of your data shortcuts and external references that you have sitting in Civil 3D over to the cloud. So your workflow in Civil 3D stays the same. It's just that it's now been moved to the cloud. How it does it? For that, you have the third thing on your screen, which is the desktop connector. Think of the desktop connector as a Google Drive desktop application on your desktop, or a Google Photos application on your desktop, or Dropbox, for example. So anything, it mimics the entire folder structure that you have on BIM 360 onto your machine. So a BIM 360 drive will appear under my computer for you, such that whenever you open Civil 3D, you just have to go to that folder and open the file, or upload a file, or save changes to a file. So you don't have to go to the cloud, download the file, and then start working on it and upload it again. So this is how the Autodesk Desktop Connector enables a live and dynamic link with BIM 360. And we'll dig deeper into each of those as we proceed ahead. But I would just like to show you this overview video of Civil 3D, which talks about everything very quickly. And we'll look at those specific points in the slides that follow. So you have a project where you're creating a data shortcut, for example. Instead of creating locally, you can directly create it on BIM 360, as you can see in this video. So he selected the surface that he wanted to publish, and it was published to BIM 360. You can add the members to your project and give them permissions such that they are able to view, edit, comment on whatever you upload. Whenever you'll be, or anyone else will be working on a file, it will be locked for others, and they won't be able to work on the same. You have, of course, you have real-time file access. Even though it will be locked for editing by someone else, you are still able to view that file. You just won't be able to make any changes, just like how you would work right now in your local environment. And then as you progress, there will be different versions of the same file. So there is this really cool tool that lets you overlay the files on top of each other and visually observe these changes. And BIM360 Design does it automatically for you. You don't have to do anything. Just work on your file and keep making updates. You can track and assign issues to anyone across your company, and you'll be notified, and the tracking will happen automatically. You don't have to spend extra time for that. So I think that's a good overview of BIM360 Design, and now we can actually look at the key features of this tool. So collaboration, communication, and security, as we saw, completely aligning with the business needs of today, where you want collaboration for anywhere, anytime, anyone access. And you are able to do that with BIM360 Design, because there are so many, you have complete control over the folder structure, over the permission levels of the folder structure. You can mimic the same folder structure that you have currently on your local machine onto the cloud, and you can use that as a template for all the other projects in the future. And one thing I'd like to, never mind, I can actually jump to that point later. So, and then there is communication. You have functionalities where you can make markups, issues, and assign those issues to people. You can send transmittals within your company across different organizations, and then you can set up a review workflow. If you want, once someone creates an issue, it should go to X person, then it should be approved and go to Y person. There's flexibility for you to create all of that. And then, of course, all of this is made possible while ensuring robust security. And for those who are concerned about accountability, that's where we talked about communication, where all of this activity is tracked, and you can actually see a history of who made what changes, and you can see the history of the entire project. And if you're concerned about security, you have these permission levels for your folders, with which you can give view-only rights to maybe people outside your company, view and download rights to people in your company. Now moving on to the infrastructure project collaboration workflow for which we are here today. So I mean, any project starts with capturing the existing conditions, then taking that forward into conceptual design, detailed design, communicating your design intent, etc. So as you can see, it is focused more on the design side, infrastructure design projects, naturally, because the product is a design collaboration module. And for operations or field and project management of your infrastructure projects, we'll have a separate webinar on the same. So we have to keep in mind that this is where we are in terms of the overall project workflow. We are focusing on collaboration and coordination setup early on, before even your conceptual design begins. And that will enable us to set up a workflow which looks like this. It is very important that your survey team, your design team, and your engineering team are aware of the flow of this workflow. Like the surveyor will, for example, everyone, let's say, are working in Civil 3D. The surveyor creates a new drawing, and he's able to save that to BIM360 and create a surface. But then he can create a data shortcut to that surface, which will lie in BIM360. So the roadway designer can directly reference to that data shortcut and move ahead with his work. Similarly, engineering technician will have access to the work done by roadway designers and surveyors on the cloud using data shortcuts. And then for those who are not working in Civil 3D or Revit, they can simply view it using any of the browsers. So while you get started, one of the most important things to know is
the Civil 3D home screen under the Start tab.
Yeah, so one of the most important things for you to know is BIM360 tab is available on your home screen. You see you have the Autodesk, this is the account, and these are the projects that you have access to. And these are the folders in those projects. So you can seamlessly access files that are on the cloud. You don't have to download and go open your browser at all. And then there's a very cool learning tab, which I'm sure some of you are aware of, but if you're not, please spend some time whenever you have any doubts. There's a very simple, easy to use and understand videos that will help you with your projects and pain points. And so you see he's directly going to the folder, which is on the cloud, and opening up a file or saving a file. You can do either. And then what this pop-up shows is the Autodesk Desktop Connector. It shows you a live progress of updates or syncing that is happening to your project, to your cloud. And you can simply drag and drop those files as well. And once someone opens it, you see the edit and lock button icon. So it's locked by someone, it's locked by you, and it's locked by someone else. You are able to see it. And you see the same thing on the cloud as well. So this is just a basic understanding that you need to have before moving forward. So that's why I put that video there. And now going across the actual workflow, taking you from start to the end, we're spending some time on setting up for project coordination, then using BIM360 docs for your project, and then using BIM360 design for your project. The middle part, BIM360 docs, I will spend little time on because this was covered by Thandavan last week. And for those who missed it, the recordings are available on the website as well. Yeah, so what do you do when you start the project? So, well, for those working both in Revit, Civil 3D, and those who want to, the first and the most important thing to understand is the key difference between Revit and Civil 3D. So one thing that Civil 3D is really good at, whereas Revit isn't, is handling points that are very far away from the origin. So Revit has this work plane for an imagination. The work plane is 32 kilometers in diameter. So that circular work plane, that's the size that Revit is able to handle. Whereas Civil 3D is able to handle a lot more than that. One other difference between Civil 3D and Revit is that Civil 3D comes preloaded with a lot of coordinate systems, whereas Revit doesn't. So the idea here is to take the benefits or the extra features that are available in Civil 3D and then create your shared coordinate system. So and this shared coordinate system is an extremely important step for you to collaborate further across. Let's say you want to share your surface in Revit. Let's say you want to share your building onto your surface in Civil 3D, whatever it may be, right? It could be a metro project that you're working on, which has a station, which has the track, which has multiple elements for which you will need the best that Revit has to offer and the best Civil 3D has to offer as well. But the beginning happens with the shared coordinate system. So there is something called a base point and the survey point, right? So the base point is the base point of your model, whereas the survey point is how the software is able to tie it to the real world. So in order to create this shared coordinate system, you have a shared reference point tool. So if you open up Civil 3, for those who use Civil 3D, what I'm trying to say, maybe you're already aware of it, but for those who are not, under Toolbox inside Civil 3D, if you don't see the shared reference point tool, you have to make sure to go to product updates page on your account management in Autodesk, and then make sure you have updated your product to have that tool as well. So what for everyone else, what the shared reference point tool does is you are able to create a shared coordinate system from within Civil 3D, the output of which will be an XML file, and you simply link that XML file into Revit, such that now both Revit and Civil 3D are working with the shared coordinate system, so that moving forward, whenever you're linking a topography or inserting a building into Civil 3D, linking topography on Revit, you do that with the shared coordinate system that you've just created. Then moving forward, you are looking for ability and flexibility to share data across Civil 3D and Revit, right? So in order, and that is why I spent so much time talking about the shared coordinates before, because only when you do that will you be able to do this. So if you're wanting to bring in the topography into Revit, you simply have to link. There's a link as topography option under the Insert tab, and in Revit, and you'll be able to pull it in. Just make sure to select shared coordinates when you do that. Then when you're trying to bring in Revit data into the Civil 3D, you have to export your Revit data. So now, for example, it's a building, so it's a 3D solid. It could be any, it could be some infrastructure building, it could be anything, right? You can export it as a 3D solid. While exporting the DWG, you just have to ensure that you select the A6 solid under the options that you get. I can show that at the end of the presentation if someone has questions regarding it as well. For anything that is like, if you want to import floor plans into Civil 3D, you can simply export that as a DWG from Revit and then bring it into your Civil 3D file model. Or the third option is you can import a Navisworks NWC or NWD file as well. So all of this will help you bring that extra context that you need while you're working in Civil 3D or while you're working in Revit. So this is how you can set up for project coordination across different teams and let everyone have access to the context as well while they do their specific task. And then one thing to note is you're doing all of this, you are publishing this. So for example, when you link the topography in Revit, right, you first published the Civil 3D surface into BIM360 design, and that's where BIM360 design comes in. All you have to do is publish your surface into BIM360 design, and then using the folder structure that has just been mimicked on your desktop. And then when you open Revit, you can, when you go to link as topography, you are again linking the topography by going to the folder sitting on the cloud in BIM360 design. So this helps you let BIM360 design take care of the dynamic links such that any updates are always reflected for the teams to see. This ensures everyone is working with the single source of truth. Moving forward would be the document management module. So we can actually run through this real quick, but I have this video because this is specific to civil and infrastructure projects. So I talked about the version control, right? I want you guys to be able to see how you can actually compare different versions and visually see the the change that's been made. But you can also make some previous versions current if you want to, such that you saw, even though there's a version 9, version 8 has now just been made current. Then you can not only just compare different versions of the same file, you can actually compare different files altogether as well. So if you hit on change, you are able to select any other file from your folder structure and compare it to the file side by side or overlaying it. Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to compare two different files, the overlay option wouldn't really make sense, and side by side would make much more sense. So yeah, this is what I just really wanted to quickly show you. When you do the overlay, you see he's hovering the scroll bar on the screen, and you see the change that's been made across two different versions. So letting Autodesk BIM360 take care of all of the version control and change visualization and all of these things so that you can focus your time on more value creation for your company. That's the essence and that's the idea. Moving forward, this I think just skip through entirely, because this was covered completely end to end by Tandavan in the last week, where he showed you and created markups and reviews and review workflows and assign them to people, and you can see those on your browser as well. So I can skip ahead. Even if you have any Office 365 files like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, you're able to edit them from within BIM360 itself. So with that, I think we can now look at the main part that BIM360 design offers, which is, so I guess here I want to clarify once again that I know we have a mix of audience. We have people working in Revit, people working in Civil 3D, and other products as well. When you work in, so right now our focus is infrastructure, right? But I'm sure some audience would also be coming from a background of using Revit predominantly. And I'm sure some of you have also tried using Revit collaboration, using design collaboration that is offered by BIM360. So the way Civil 3D works and the way Revit works is slightly different. In Revit, you have your central model hosted on the cloud, and everybody is syncing to it while working from anywhere. Whereas in Civil 3D, BIM 360 design collaboration module enables this workflow, but like Revit, you won't be using the web version of BIM 360 design as much, because what's going to happen when you use Civil 3D is your entire workflow relies on data shortcuts and external references. That's essentially how collaboration happens on all infrastructure projects in Civil 3D or InfraWorks or any other products. So the key difference here is that in Revit there was the central file. Here there are these data shortcuts, and for you there won't be any difference when it comes to migrating your current data shortcut workflow from your local machines onto the cloud. There's no difference between that. So I wanted to bring this to light, because there will be people who will be using Revit as well as Civil 3D. I wanted both of them to be aware of this difference between them. For those who've only been using Civil 3D, this is going to be very seamless and smooth for you guys. Where we'll look at a very quick video. You have your external references file, and you want to simply migrate them onto the cloud. There are a bunch of options that you have. You can simply upload them by opening Civil 3D and creating data shortcuts directly into the folder of BIM360 design of your project. You can drag and drop those data shortcuts and external references also. And the data shortcuts are smart in the way that they are able to recognize the parent folder, the working folder, right? Let me think of how to put it. Once you start working on a file on the cloud, and once you start adding more data shortcuts, BIM360 Design takes care of handling those data shortcuts and putting them in the right folder for you. You just have to set the working folder at the beginning, make sure you've repaired all the broken links once you've transferred or migrated from your local data shortcuts and references to the cloud one. And once you do that, you're set up for the remainder of your project. I think we can move on to the next one. So once you migrate this important data, how do you manage it and how do you work with data shortcuts on your project? Again, I have a video for explaining the data shortcuts and data references creation and usage in BIM360 with BIM360 Design and Context. So as you can see, you are simply opening up a file by hovering over to the BIM360 folder from within Civil 3D. And now if you want to, so you are now first setting up your working folder, which was your data shortcut folder. And then you can create a new subfolder within it. And which is when you actually create the data shortcut that you want to create. We looked at migrating in the previous video. We're looking at creating and managing it in this one. So see, all of those folders structure is created on BIM360. Now you are opening up the file directly from the cloud. And now you want to bring in that reference into your project. So you see the data shortcut that you created was able to be linked directly from the cloud. That's it. It's as simple as that. Your workflow stays the same. Under the hood, it's happening on the cloud instead of the local service. That's the only difference. I can skip ahead. Yeah. So any questions that you may have regarding this, please feel free to ask them away because we have now reached at the end of the workflow from the start to the end, where the most important things that I spent some time talking about was the setup of the project and the shared coordinate system, and then at the end, managing and migrating your data shortcuts and external references. With that, I can now move on to some of our customer stories and adoption. I'll run through this very quickly. I know we are only 10 minutes. We are at the top of the hour. So we have had several of our customers benefit at different scales, at such large scales, where AECOM, for example, has set up BIM360 Design across 135 global offices. They are now being able to do the things that used to take them weeks. They are able to do them in under a few hours. So these are the kind of savings, and this is the kind of value that we want your company to see. And that is why we are spending so much of our time explaining some of the things about these workflows. And there is, of course, so many other examples that I have as well. People working in Civil 3D and Revit, Black and Veatch. Again, they're using BIM360 design extensively, even Plant 3D collaboration. And then there is Panoni as well. But this is the key numbers right now. In light of coronavirus and the recent shift to working from home, these are the latest like recent numbers of the number of the number of projects that BIM360 has witnessed over the last few months. This is as on April, and new projects are being created on the cloud continuously. There's no limit to the number of projects you can upload. There's no limit to the number of users that you can have, and there will never be a limit on the number of projects or the data that you can upload. And some resources for you, again, letting everyone know who may be joined in later during this webinar that all of these products are available for free commercial use until the end of this month. So please make sure to make good use of it. And then there are a lot of resources available for you. There are a lot of webinar recordings. There are a lot of ideas and support forums. There is a very exhaustive and detailed user guide and manual, workflow visualizer, and all of these things you simply have to Google and you'll get them on one of the Autodesk websites. So please feel free to always look out for these resources whenever you get stuck, because at the end of the day, what we want all of our customers to do is to gain value out of this. And that is why a lot of time was spent by Autodesk in coming up with these resources for you. So whatever questions you may have, chances are that they will be answered by one of these blogs. Yeah, I think with that, I just have like a couple of feedback questions for you guys and then some time for Q&A. Avinash, would you mind pulling up the last two questions of the poll?
Yes, let me just putting it up now.
Thanks. So, okay. So majority of them were able to relate to the workflow that we discussed. Some of them were able to somewhat relate to it, but I see only 35% of the people have voted. So you have a few more seconds left to vote. So please do. Okay, final few seconds until the poll closes. Okay, final question about if you'd want a product demo or anything like that, please feel free to let us know. Okay, we have a majority for wanting to see a product demo. One of our representatives will reach out to you for sure. Okay, I guess the poll would be closing now. So thanks a lot, everyone, for responding to these poll questions, and thank you for your time as well. I hope I was able to communicate some of the important details about using BIM360 design, and you'll be able to enhance your infrastructure project collaboration. If you have any questions, we have a couple of minutes until we end the webinar. So please feel free to send your questions to us. I think we have some questions here. So we have some questions, I guess, but a lot of these are about the demo. Thank you, Mangesh. And a lot of these, yeah, so the demo, for the demo, the Autodesk representative will reach out to you and take that conversation ahead. We have your contact information since you registered for this webinar. So great. We had some people talking about not being able to hear me. I hope that was resolved. I'm sure there was some bandwidth issue. So one question here is, if we upload a Revit file with links, does BIM360 recognize the parent file? Yes, Irfan. BIM360 is able to recognize your parent file. Khyati, BIM360 Glue is not an entitlement under BIM360 Design or Docs. It is part of a separate module, and for that you'd have to subscribe separately. And once you do, then it will appear under your BIM360 account. Yeah, we can definitely send everyone the recording after this presentation, and you can feel free to check out all the links that I had on the last slide. And you are always welcome to discuss this further with us about any other questions or pain points you may have. The video will be emailed out to you sometime in the next couple of days. The recording, I mean. And then, yeah, I guess that's all the questions that we have. We are at the top of the hour as well. So any more questions that you may have, please feel free to email it to us. You can email me at tanmay.balirao@autodesk.com, or you can loop in any of your partners or any of your Autodesk representatives that have been in touch with you already. There's just one more question. Where is some issue happening of the version? Not sure what that is. Could you elaborate, please? That should not happen. So Revit will always, or Revit, like all Autodesk products, will upgrade your previous versions to the latest version when you open it from a newer version. Will update your files to that latest version, and then it is not backwards compatible. You won't be able to open it in the lower version. But what you're saying should not be an issue. Where we have an issue where a file from lower version is not being able to open in the upper one. But if you can send us an email about it and send us some screenshots, that would be really helpful, Mohammed. Yes, upper version cannot be opened in a lower version software. There's that is an issue. I mean, you have to be careful of not upgrading the files to the latest version. But yeah, I mean, feel free to reach back out to us. We are at the end of the time today. Please, Mohammed, you as well, and everyone else, thank you for your time. And we can take this forward, take the conversation forward over our email. Okay. Avinash, I think we are good to close. Thanks a lot, everyone. Once again, have a nice rest of the day. And feel free to sign on to the remaining webinars. We have a whole host of webinars coming up, an exciting lineup of episodes in the work from home series. So please feel free to look at all of them. I showed you the slide before, but I'll show it to you just one last time as well. Yeah, with that, I think we can end our call today. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.